Welcome back to another video. It's your boy KIDSTATIIC. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to be reacting to Spider-Man 3 is going to be insane. This video is created by Pixelsted. Big shout out to him. We're going to be reacting to this video. So if you guys haven't played Spider-Man 2 or any of the Spider-Mans, make sure you lock in. There's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video, but if you have, you know what to look forward to. Now, I myself have played Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I haven't played the other ones yet, but I plan on doing it. And so far, I did like it, but I do think the storyline was kind of lacking in certain areas. Now, my hope is that they don't rush Spider-Man 3. But anyway, let's lock in. Let's get into it.
Delivered an incredible experience. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I just really love the journey that they took us on with all the different characters and the story arcs and seeing Venom and just how they did it and the different world building stuff. It was really exciting. But the thing that I've been thinking about ever since I finished the game is what's going to happen next. That this game set up so many interesting angles that they can take Spider-Man 3 to. And so I really want to break it down with you guys and give you some of my predictions for how insane Spider-Man 3 is going to be, and looking at some of the stuff they teased in this game and how I think it's going to play out in the next one. So that being said, buckle up and let's get our prediction hats on and see what maybe possibly Spider-Man 3 is going to look like. So let's dive right into it. So first off, I got to talk about my boy Cletus Cassidy. Now, I don't know what Insomniac was thinking, but they took such a major character and put him in a side mission where Carnage shows up in this game. Obviously not in his full form, but it's very much teased that he is going to be showing up. Now, it's possible that this could be some DLC where they kind of tease Carnage and Cletus, and he's kind of like this cult leader, and he actually more will become the character that we know him as now that he has the symbiote. He's stolen it from Oscorp. That you think that he will now kind of be after using it for himself. And it is possible that they could throw this into some DLC for the future, and you could have a Carnage DLC, which I think would be absolutely incredible and crazy. But I think for a character that big, that you probably are going to save him for Spider-Man 3. I could be wrong. It could be DLC, but I imagine that they're going to save him for the third game. And what I imagine is he's going to kind of take on that ultimate form where this guy is kind of crazy. He's kind of like a cult leader. And I almost imagine that he's going to kind of be more like the ultimate Spider Man Carnage, where he's going to just be fused to the symbiote. He's going to become an absolute madman. He's going to be running around New York.
My only worry about that is that they're just gonna do the same thing they did with Venom with him again. I mean, that's pretty much what they did with Venom. We got like this from the trailer. I thought we were gonna get a way more ferocious, vicious Venom, and we really didn't get that. Like the Venom we got was just random as fuck. He was just doing a random Venom stuff, and then he grew wings, which I thought was pretty cool. But how does it affect the story itself? I think that there should have been some more story missions for Peter and Harry of them bonding and even seeing Peter go through the effects of the symbiote, because we really didn't see that. It was rushed. A lot of stuff in the story was rushed. And even the MJ stuff, we could have lived without that. But hopefully they do it right in the new Spider-Man game, which I think Spider-Man 2 was rushed, if I'm correct.
Essentially sucking the life out of people and draining them for his use. And he's going to go full crazy. And I couldn't be more excited to see what they're going to do with this character. I was worried at the end, and I still have questions. Like, so at the end of the game, when they get rid of all the symbiotes and kind of how Venom took over the city, part of me wonders, like, does that mean that the Carnage symbiote is dead? But it must not mean. I'm just, that part has me with question marks as to like, how would that not have killed Carnage? Like, I'm sure they have some kind of reasonable explanation. But I imagine that in the next game, we're going to see Carnage and we're going to see him in his full glory. And maybe he will be the catalyst that kind of drives the first game. And maybe Miles feels like he can't fight Carnage on his own, and he needs Peter to come back into the game. It'll be interesting to see. It's also possible it could be DLC, but I really think they're going to save a character this big for the game, the main game, and I could not be more excited that we are actually most definitely getting Carnage at some point. And then the second thing that we're probably going to see in either a Miles Morales 2 or in the next game is Silk. Now, I imagine that they're going to do Silk a bit differently than she was done in the comic book. that I imagine they're not going to do like the whole relationship thing that her and Peter had, where they kind of have this uncontrollable drive to be with one another because they're bitten by the same spider. Instead, I imagine that they might actually put that on Miles and her, that would actually be more of an interesting point, because I think it would be weird to have Peter running around cheating on MJ with Silk, especially because she seems like she would be way younger than Peter. So I imagine Miles and her might have a relationship, and you'll probably see her show up in the game. I imagine if she shows up in the second Miles Morales game, that she will be a playable Spider Woman. That you'll be able to kind of switch back and forth between her and Miles, or at least go on an adventure with her, like you did with Miles and Peter in this game. It's possible too, because I mean, for Spider-Man 2, they had three playable Spider-Men. It's possible that in Spider-Man 3, they have three playable Spider-Men that you could play as Miles, Silk, and Peter. It would be really interesting to see that and to see that kind of dynamic. The only thing that makes me like if I got to be honest, when she showed up, part of me was like, "Oh, that's so interesting and so cool. They're going to bring this character. It makes sense because Sony is going to be making a TV show with Amazon for her, so they probably want to push her in other media so that people are aware of the character, so that they watch the property when it comes out on Amazon." But it also makes me nervous because, like, it's one thing to have Miles Morales show up. Having Silk show up, it just feels like it almost downgrades the specialness of Spider-Man, if that makes sense. That not only do we have Spider-Man and now a second Spider-Man running around, but we're actually going to have a third Spider-Man running around in this universe. I know that works in the comics, and you kind of don't really think about it, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but it does kind of start to make Spider-Man in this universe feel less special. It'd be like in the Wolverine game if there were three more Wolverines running around who had identical powers for the most part, that would start to feel like the main Wolverine is less special than he was. And so I wonder how they're going to handle that. I wonder if we'll even feel that. I just know that with her showing up, that was my hesitancy, is like, I just hope that this doesn't make, like, I don't know, like it just feels like how many more spider people could there be? Am I right? And so I just hope that it doesn't make it feel like Peter and Miles are, I don't know, like not special anymore, because now there's three of them. It seems like every game we get a new Spider person showing up. And so I hope they do it well. I hope they do her character justice. It'll be really unique to see what they do for a take on her. But I essentially can't wait to see her. I imagine that she'll have some form of relationship with Miles, and they will use her as a playable character, I imagine, in either a second version of his game or possibly in Spider Man 3. And then, kind of the last thing and major prediction that I have is essentially that the Goblin is going to show up. That they've been kind of teasing that the Goblin was going to be a thing for a while now. And I really think that come this third game, the Green Goblin will appear. I imagine that Norman is going to be making a cure to try to save Harry from his coma. And what he will do is he's not going to want to test it on Harry. I imagine there will be some kind of thing where the genetic code needs to be in line with Harry's in order for it to work. If whoever they do the test subject as, and I imagine that Norman will volunteer because he cares about his son, and I imagine that he will actually take the serum into himself. And I also imagine that he's going to give it to Harry. And what I think they're going to do is that they're going to pull a spectacular Spider-Man, where throughout the game, Harry's going to come back and he's going to be normal, and you're going to think that Harry has become the villain once again. That they're going to make Peter, they're going to make Miles think like, oh no, like Harry has turned rogue again. He must be the Green Goblin. And it's going to be like in Spectacular Spider-Man, where for a long time Peter thought that Harry was Green Goblin. Twist will be is that Peter finds out that it's actually Norman, and that maybe Harry's addicted to the serum because the Goblin serum is often addictive, but he's not necessarily becoming the Goblin. He's just more of an addict to the serum itself, and that it actually will be revealed that Norman is actually the Green Goblin. And on top of that, I think that we're actually going to see the Green Goblin revenge plot, where I think the Goblin serum is going to drive Norman mad. It's going to make him manic. That at the end of
Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That's honestly a good idea. And there are a bunch of good characters we still have going into this new Spider-Man game. For me, the most important part is the storyline and character development, just making sure that they do everything right, because a lot of times we don't get a lot of backstory on these characters, or they just rush the backstory. But regardless, I'm excited, man. I am a big fan of these Spider-Man games, and I will say, Marvel Spider-Man 2, it is a good game. It could have been better, because they had Venom and oh, dude, it was just so much potential. But for what it is good. It sucks they're not going to drop any DLCs. They definitely should have dropped some DLCs. But with this new game, this is going to be their time to actually get some redemption and hopefully get some good points on the fan side at least. So we'll see how they even do this.
The game, they set up him having tension between Spider-Man and feeling like Spider-Man is the reason Harry is in a coma and almost died, and like that he hates him and that he doesn't trust him. Goblin serum, when he takes it, is going to turn that side of Norman even darker, and he's going to become vengeful, and he's actually going to seek out revenge on Spider-Man. And I think that we're actually going to see the death of Mary Jane. That I actually think that now that their relationship is kind of restored and in a really healthy space, that what usually happens with Spider-Man when things are going too well is things go horribly wrong. And I could totally see them doing the bridge scene, but instead of it being Gwen Stacy, that
Love that.
they do it with Mary Jane
I wouldn't mind
instead,
that.
and that Norman finds out that Peter is Spider-Man, and he kind of loses it, and he plays into hiring Peter and befriending Peter and walking alongside Peter more as an even more of a mentor role. And that he starts to bring together the Sinister Six and bring in all these villains who hate Peter and hates Spider-Man and want revenge, and he orchestrates this plan essentially to destroy Peter's life. And the climactic version of what that's going to look like is that eventually Norman is going to reveal, like, hey, I'm the Green Goblin, and he's going to go around and he's going to steal Mary Jane, and he's going to throw off the bridge, and she's going to die, and you're going to see Peter have this wrestle. And I think that Norman is going to be the catalyst that will most likely pull Spider-Man back into the game. That it is possible that maybe they do Carnage, and Miles is like, hey, I can't handle Carnage on my own. I need you to come back. Me and Silk can't do this. But I imagine it's going to be Goblin actually showing up. That Goblin is actually going to start ruining Peter's life and getting involved in it. And that is going to make Peter show up as Spider-Man and be like, dang, I've been sleeping on like the responsibility piece of what I promised to Uncle Ben. And because of that, all these horrible things are happening. And I've let Norman be able to take over and do all these horrible things in my life. And I need to get back in the game. And you'll kind of see this climactic coming together of all the villains.
I can't wait, man. I honestly can't wait, especially after playing Marvel Spider-Man 2, like I said. I'm gonna go back and play the original one, and then I'm gonna go play the Miles Morales one. I'm gonna check those out because those are apparently hitting two online. But look, like I said, man, the second one got a lot of hate, but story-wise, there was a lot of potential there, and I did like it. I liked it. I thought it could have been better, but I liked it. I'm not gonna lie. So look, I want you guys to jump in the comments. How do you guys feel about Marvel Spider-Man 2? How do you guys feel about Spider-Man 3? Are you guys excited? Make sure you guys definitely get in the comments. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button. I'm out. Peace.